Welcome to TradesPost office hours for April 8th, 2025. I'm Tom Hartman, marketing manager here at TradesPost, alongside Mike Christensen, co-founder and CSO, and John Wage, our founder and CEO. We're always working to make TradesPost better day in and day out. Each week, we take deep dive into all things TradesPost, answering your questions, gathering your feedback, and helping you get the most out of the best automated trading platform in the known universe. We've collected your questions over the past week, so let's dive in. Jens, how's it going?
Doing pretty well. How about you?
Well, I used to first say that TradesPost is the best automated trading platform in the in like part of the universe, in the known universe. I'm really going to start upgrading this to like the best ever because we haven't been challenged on any trademarks or copyrights or anything like that, and so I think we can really just say that we're the best out there.
I think that's fair to say. And any universe, yeah. So let's expand the let's expand the trademark or the slogan, if you will.
Exactly. We've had a nice bounce, a little bit of market talk here, had a nice little bounce in the markets. Are you guys on the side of, hey, we're out of the woods, or
No.
we're just headed into Mirkwood?
Hell no, not even close. We had the little bit of a face ripping rally as anticipated, but we're still below the short term moving averages and definitely below the trend. So this pullback today was so anticipated. I picked up 2,000 ticks on MNQ this morning just because it was such an obvious gap to short this morning.
So what happened? So would you be surprised if we had a face ripping rally all the way back up to all time highs?
Only after we've fully corrected. I don't think we're done yet. We're going to see some more downside from here.
John, please give me some bullish news because I went long crypto, so I'm looking for anybody to favor my side. Oh, your microphone's off. 1 second.
You got to be muted.
Yeah.
I don't know. The line that I had on my chart was like the 470 area, and on SPY. I mean,
For the low?
Yeah, I mean that's where I had because that was the previous high back in January of 2022. I'm looking at the monthly chart.
So 470 is your next support zone.
I mean, we were so close to it. Mm-hmm. It wicked down. It didn't get quite there. And that kind of coincides with the 200 week moving average. So I don't know.
See, these are the moments. This is what I want to get in.
This is peak uncertainty here. This is another reason that it's very, very difficult to trade this market or to decide when to get long. There's just too much uncertainty still. So we'll see how tariffs continue to unfold. In any event, what are the questions up for TradersPost?
Yeah, so as always, we're here to train our AI. So let's give it what it needs. First up, wanted to cross one of these questions here. Someone was saying, I would like to bring to your attention something I experienced today. I am setting all my values, take profit, stop loss limit with my entry. I've verified that it does work correctly from TradingView to TradesPost to Tradovate. The trade is there with the correct limits and everything's working fine. But I keep getting this failure message once the position closes out. FYI, I do not send an exit signal as the limits are already defined per entry. This happens after each close. Is this a bug? So just to let you guys know, so this it turns out that the person was using a strategy and they're using the strategy signals, and so the exit signals were also being fired automatically with the entry signals, like with the same strategy, but they were only entering the JSON code for the entries, and because they included the take profit and stop loss in the bracket order, they just forgot that a secondary alert was being sent with a blank message to TradersPost. So they just got an alert, and because there's no message in there, they were getting an error message inside their email saying, "Hey, there's a problem with the signal that we received." So it's a nice little roundabout way that one, I like that the message started off with saying they use TradersPost great, fine, everything's working great. So I figured that's a great way of getting into office hours. And then the problem afterwards was just more of they didn't realize that they were sending a signal on their end. Also not our fault, which is why it's the first question for today, just to wet our palates a little bit there.
So big takeaway here is just be very aware of the messages you're sending through. And obviously, if they had clicked that link in the email to review the webhook, it would explain what was inside the message payload, in which case I'm guessing it was just empty entirely.
Empty, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So if it's empty entirely, that should tell you right there, okay, there's something wrong with my alert. I'm not sending in a message from that TradingView alert window, and just need to go back to that alert, fill in the message, get JSON in there, and then click OK and save that alert.
That's right. And it does tell our AI in the future that if someone does are only using part of the strategy, let's say they're running a TradingView strategy, they're only using part, it's fine if even if the blank message came through, even if they're getting the error message, it didn't stop their strategy from actually working. It didn't cause any problems with what they had automated.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Couple of questions here that came in through because of the whole Liberation Day. Can you give us an idea of what slippage is like during highly volatile periods? Is it something that the average automated trader should be concerned about?
Yeah, for sure. And liquidity is very unpredictable, especially during periods like this. In general, especially on a high volume day where there's a lot of selling, I would anticipate that slippage goes up. And primarily because the bid ask it's not just the spread between the bid and ask, it's how fast the bid ask is moving is the problem. So you might want to enter at $100, but you're going to get filled at a potentially worse price than that if you're trying to short, for example. So liquidity is a factor, but also price action in general is going to play a role in how quickly the bid ask is moving. So I would fully anticipate that in times like this, you are very cautious or size down. I've been noticing a few conversations around volatility making the rounds on Twitter. And one of the old school technical analysts that I follow, Linda Rashke, she was talking about how she actually has a filter for volatility. So in times like this, when the VIX is above 30, she's not even trading during these periods because these types of liquidity traps can be problematic for anybody's approach.
The wicks, Mike. It's the wicks that can sometimes kill people. Whole stories, whole fortunes are made and lost within those wicks. And I find that I can't help trading them. You give me high volatile periods, that's when I want to start my automated strategy, which is a whole other way of going about it. Linda Rashke, I'm glad you brought her up. I wonder, she was a great follow. If anyone wants to get an idea of like how to read the markets and how to interpret charts, interpret candles, her videos, the walkthroughs that she gives I think are pretty good. Actually, I have a whole series of indicators that I've made based on Linda Rashke, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, she's great.
All right. Next up here, let's stay along the lines of the tariff trades. So automation is supposed to mitigate the emotions of trading. When markets are highly volatile, would you recommend manually stopping your automated strategy or just let it run?
I think to my point before, you want to model for that. So what I would do is make sure that you've tested your strategy over a long enough period to revisit periods of time in which the VIX was over 30 or even over 40, like we're at right now. Geez, where is the VIX at the moment? 52. So this is this is an environment to be testing for. What I would probably do is try to get a little bit higher of a time frame, 1 hour, 2 hour at the minimum, and test all the way back to 2012, if not further back, if you can. I know with TradingView, it's very difficult to do back tests any further than like 2018 in futures, but in stocks you should be able to go back pretty far. And so with that test, I would implement some kind of a volatility filter. And maybe that's not based on the VIX. Maybe it's based on average true range and some filter that's well above some rolling range. But in any event, you want to test for it to see if your strategy can still hold up during those periods, because it may very well mean that you're actually eliminating profits during those periods because for whatever reason, your strategy trades volatility really well. And you just want to make sure that there's a robust test for how this would have stood up in the past before just deciding to manually pause this kind of thing. As we've seen in the past, people will stand up strategies that are working really well, and then all of a sudden they see 3 bad trades and they pause their strategy, and then a week goes by, and if they had not paused it, they would have picked up all their winners in that period of time. So I think it's best to really test that as rigorously as possible.
Because I wonder about when you're, let's say you're forward testing on a paper account and you want to get an accurate idea of is a strategy worth standing up. It would seem to me then that you don't want to pause it during these volatile periods because you want to see what your strategy would do. But if you have an idea, if you already have an idea that this strategy is likely to fail or to perform poorly during that time, do you want to stop it so that you don't taint your data? Because then you have to sort of anticipate every future 3 sigma and above event, which seems
Yeah.
improbable.
In this case, this is a 7 sigma event, which is, even more rare than even a 6 sigma or 5 sigma event, or a 3 sigma in your case, which, three standard deviations is fairly common. That's 99.7% of the data. In this case, this is an extremely rare event, so really hard to model for. But I still would want to try to incorporate some of those historical times to see how this performs. Moments like this in this market, this type of volatility, are reminders that so frequently traders will build strategies off of a very calm and bullish regime. And when you do that, your stops are fairly tight. Your expectations for market moves are fairly tight. And then all of a sudden big moves like this happen and it just wipes you out, especially as you mentioned earlier with the wicks. You might feel like you have enough room for your stop loss or your trailing stop, but you just get stopped out immediately on every trade because everything's too tight. You built it off of a model for a very tight environment, a very smooth and quiet environment, and all of a sudden the waters are choppier than ever. So you want to incorporate as much of that history as possible to see how it will withstand that kind of pressure.
Seems to me that I should set up like a Trump era high sigma strategy that's taking advantage of these tail events that are likely to happen over the next 4 years.
Sure.
There could be some generational wealth to be made during these periods.
Could be. It's another good reason to be well diversified into different strategies as well. If you have a bunch of low volatility built strategies, but you've got another option strategy that's looking for these kinds of tail events or preparing for these kinds of tail events, then you got a nice payout here. I kind of regret now not having some bigger puts open for this event, especially as I had started to hedge to the downside at the top of this market, but wasn't big enough.
I'm wondering if it's worthwhile to even recommend to people, like I'm just spitballing because I don't know, the higher end plan on TradingView that allows you to have access to the bid-ask series, the historical bid-ask series as well. Because then you could really start testing these things out properly in a way that you can't do it if you're just dealing with closing prices. Have you given this a shot?
I haven't given it a shot, but I do want to take a look at it. Obviously, being able to access the order books tells you a lot. And if we back up a couple of questions about liquidity, or slippage around the bid ask, you could model for that now. If you're on one of the higher plans, you could be looking for those types of spreads that would keep you out of your strategy. I think we saw it recently, John. There was pretty big market volatility around MicroStrategy, MSTR, and we saw spreads as wide as like 15 or 20%, if I recall, which is just incredible to see that big of a spread between the bid and the ask. So that kind of feature that's on TradingView now, it would be highly useful for that kind of environment where you effectively avoid getting into a trade and subjecting yourself to such huge slippage.
My issue with that is that I'm afraid of that because you can only access, if I'm not mistaken, you can only access the bid ask on the tick chart.
Got it.
And I'm not sure how the strategy indicators run on the tick chart, because it's a whole different beast. It's like one of these non-standard charts, and then I don't know how far back that goes. I don't know if it started like 2 years ago. If you get,
I assume it's still probably the number of bars back that's in your plan, right? So if it's tick, then that's not really based on time. But in theory, shouldn't you still be able to assemble an OHLCV from the ticks in PineScript? And if that's the case, then at least you can start to build a strategy from rebuilt bars inside the tick chart.
Or you could even just like within a regular standard chart pull the tick data just to be able to process
request.security. Got it.
So I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to try it out, but it's a bit of a pricey experiment, but maybe I'll give it a try anyway. I don't want other people to get ahead of me in PineScript. Okay. Last question about the volatility event that we had. Is there ever any issue with connectivity with brokers during high traffic trading periods, such as when markets react to tariff news? So did we actually experience anything like that?
We didn't
I
this
don't recall
time.
an outage. Yeah.
No, not this time.
Or queue for order executions, or some sort of like a
No,
rate limit at the broker, or anything at all that would have been like, hey, this wouldn't normally have happened except
it
for.
can happen, but no, we didn't experience anything this time. I didn't see any slowness in the broker APIs. The average response time stayed within normal ranges. And our queue wait time has been within normal ranges as well.
Which is great. That
When it
sounds like
folks.
the brokers were prepared for this. They knew to update their infrastructure, or at least expand their infrastructure a little bit.
I did see a lot of people talking about like not able to log in to like their apps and stuff, but it's probably different infrastructure that supports the, like the Thinkorswim app versus the API that powers the things that we integrate with.
Right. Yeah,
All
things
right.
have gone really smoothly from what we can tell.
Nice. All right, next up, hi TradersPost team. I noticed that TradersPost supports Tradovate accounts and says there's no need for users to purchase the $25 a month API package from Tradovate. However, when I reached out to Tradovate directly, they mentioned that each user must have their own API access to enable trade automation. Before I link my Tradovate account, I just want to understand how this works. How are you able to execute trades on Tradovate without requiring the user to buy API access? Is there a special integration or agreement with Tradovate? How is the trade execution handled from Tradovate's side? Just want to make sure how this all works before moving forward.
John, you want to take this one?
Yeah. So basically, like when you're paying for the API for $25 a month, that's for you as an individual to program something against Tradovate. When you're using TradersPost, like you're not using the individual developer API, you're using the API that TradersPost is integrated with, which is different than that. So you don't have to pay the $25 a month. You just connect your Tradovate account to TradersPost, and that's it.
Excellent. How do I set up
maybe we should just start telling people we bought it for them. Like, it's on us. It's on the house. We've seen that question come up a couple of times now.
I mean, in some ways it kind of is, I guess. I mean, in the future, we might, like, especially if we subsidize market data and buy it and just give it to the user, we're effectively kind of paying for everything for them and just baking it into our cost and then giving it away.
Exactly. It's on the house.
How do I set up a watch list with the following parameters? Stop loss levels, take profit targets, exit trade conditions. Could you provide a step-by-step instructions for entering these things in my watch list order? So, I mean, I would have loved to have set up a step-by-step guide for that, but you can't actually do that in on the watch list, or not in the way that this user actually ended up talking about, where they needed specific take profits and stop loss for each one of the tickers. You can do it if your strategy is has relative take profits and stop loss. Then you can apply the strategy to all the tickers on your watch list, and then everything works as it's supposed to. The signals will be sent off the TradersPost, and things will be traded. But this user specifically wanted to be able to set specific levels somehow with the items in the watch list in such a way that it would send the signals appropriately, which you cannot do.
Got it.
Wait, I'm saying that. Is there a way of doing that? No, there's no way of doing it.
Oh, Tom, you always surprise me with your ability to hack this shit. So let me know if you can come up with something.
Last question here. Common automated, question. How do I fix my account when the following happens? I manually cancel an order in TradeStation after it was entered by my subscription. A new signal came in, but the order was rejected, saying no QQQ orders open to cancel, no position open to exit, cannot enter a new bullish position. Your strategy calculated a quantity of 0. Apparently, TradersPost didn't like that I manually exited my open position directly in TradeStation, and I'll reject all my upcoming orders. What can I do to reset this and prevent this from happening?
It's really, that will really only happen in scenarios where your strategy is explicitly managing the quantity, and the broker state and your strategy state get out of sync, and your strategy is sending quantities to TradersPost that don't match the quantities that we expect to exist in the broker. So if you program your strategy that way, then you can't interfere, because like the state of the strategy matters to your PineScript. So I can't, it's hard to say specifically what you would do to fix it, but like you would have to change something about your strategy, PineScript, and the quantities that you're sending. But specifically, it's kind of hard to say.
In this situation for this user, and I just wanted to bring that question up because of sometimes people do open or close position manually within their broker directly. For this particular user, just for context, they were actually confusing the idea that exit signals were being sent afterwards, and then that message was also saying, "Hey, there's nothing to exit," and they're like, "Hey, what's going on over here?" So there was some confusion with the user at the time, but I just wanted to bring that up to be like, "Hey, you can actually modify your position outside, right? Your positions are not being held by TradesPost, and that will have an effect on what signals are coming through and what we can see is there or not there." So just want to mention that.
Yep.
Before we move on to our last segment for our Reddit corner, my beloved Reddit corner, I just want to bring up that for this blueprint on Thursday, we're going to be doing a dividend capture bot, which is basically creating a simple strategy that allows for where you plug in an asset, it'll detect what the ex-dividend date is for that asset, and then plan out a strategy to purchase shares to be able to receive the dividend, and then exit those shares after after that date, as well as give you some idea of what you can make, like if that information is available in TradingView. So we'll try to put together a nice dividend capture bot that's interesting for you guys to use, and a good tutorial of how to go about doing that. I don't know that a lot of people know that. Well, I don't know. I haven't seen it a lot where people can use financial information and other information than just the stock price and volume to actually make your strategies because of the information that TradingView surfaces. So you can do that here. All right. Reddit corner, folks. I always love these Reddit posts. Let's start with this first one. How to turn a TradingView strategy into an automated bot. I'm completely new to algorithmic trading, so I decided to spend the past few days developing a strategy for learning purposes to see how it would play out. And I've been pleasantly surprised by the results after running a lot of backtesting over multiple time frames, after factoring commissions and slippage. My question now is, how would I be able to apply the strategy to an automated trading bot, ideally to trade a 50 to 150K account through a futures prop firm such as TopStep? This strategy specializes in MES and MNQ tickers. Any help would be appreciated. Thank you, Zealous Ideal Coat 301. And what I love to tell them is TradesPost. Come to TradesPost for us to do a bunch of the heavy lifting. But you don't have to take my word for it. Bat000 made the mention for TradesPost, so thank you very much, Bat, that they could come to us or one of our competitors. Fairly straightforward. Good call using it on a prop firm and not your own money. Very high % of bots with good backtests do not perform live. Best of luck. I hope that it helps. The only thing I would say over here is that you don't need to go to our competitors. Start with TradersPost.io and stop with TradersPost.io. We're in the wild there, folks. People are suggesting us as solutions to very serious problems, and it's working. People love us, as they should.
No, it's definitely a good question, and I've had a lot of success with it so far. So as well, I'm almost at a point now where I'm starting to offset my prop firm accounts. So I'll start one on week one, start a second one, the same one a week forward, and a week forward after that, and so on and so forth. And being able to offset them in that way helps me ensure that the starting point is slightly different, which can offset sort of the performance of each one as well. So there's just a lot of different ways in which you can diversify in this space as well. You don't have to trade everything at the same time. You can trade in different ways and try different approaches, try different strategies. That's the whole idea with automating all of this.
Wait, so you're doing the same strategy but offset in time?
Offset in time, right? Because a different starting point can mean a completely different outcome. That's what I realized in my simulator is I started to test sort of a Monte Carlo simulation. I had tested different starting points, and I realized that when I separated them by a week, I improved the odds that I would get to the finish line.
Huh, interesting. Perfect. And this, John, this was you when you first started TradesPost, right? Like, you were this guy. How do I set up? And then you're like, let me just build the whole thing for myself.
Pretty much.
Automated trading. Hello, I've been trading the futures market for almost 2 years and have a few strategies that I think would be very easy to code. But I don't know how to code, what to use, or even where to start. I want to try and code these strategies myself. Any suggestions on what to do? What would you guys tell them?
PineScript and TradersPost.
Yeah.
PineScript and TradersPost, exactly.
Good answer.
I would add on there the AI coding, because the new what was it, O3, this is what we've been using for Blueprint recently, the O3 mini high model on ChatGPT, I find works pretty well with PineScript, like right out of the box, without even having to provide all the
even
documentation.
V6.
Yes, even in V6,
Right.
you do have to give it a little bit of push sometimes, but actually it one shots a bunch of things pretty well. I am testing out the Google Gemini 2.5 Pro. That's not free for everyone. I don't know how long it'll be free, but it's free. And I was able to just give it, because of the 1 million token context window, I can give it all of the PineScript documentation, all of the TradesPost documentation, everything. So I spent a nice little time just ripping everything from all the different websites and putting together one cohesive file with nice notations between them. We'll see how that works. But I found that it was still like, there's something friendlier about ChatGPT that you just don't get from the Google AI products, which to me just feel a little bit too cold. I want to go to a warm, what year is this? A warm AI when it's giving me advice of what to do on outputting code.
Sure.
But if there's a specific strategy, sorry, go ahead.
If there's a specific, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, if there's a specific strategy that you want to go, you're not just like vibe coding and what have you. This is something you specifically want to do. Sometimes I find it's easier just to ask that to the AI in Cursor and ChatGPT, whatever, and it will, depending on what the strategy is, it'll spin up the formulas and calculations and use libraries in order to get that done in a way that if you wanted to use TradingView, you might bang your head against the wall a little bit more because it doesn't know the interface. Like, it doesn't know the error codes there. It doesn't have any of that information, whereas it has a wealth of information on Python, on JavaScript, or anything like that.
Right. So Sander had actually left a comment here saying huge context window. To kind of elaborate on that a little bit further, I think the idea with coding with ChatGPT, especially if you're not very familiar with coding, you don't really have a background in it, is really to be as specific as possible, over explain yourself, be extremely detail oriented, provide a lot of context. And it's going to take a while to write out the prompt, but as you go, you can also follow up and check on the code and report back errors that you see. Tom, I feel like we should probably do a blueprint episode though, where we attempt to make a strategy off of a set of rules that we see, and go through that process of just first trying to clarify exactly what we mean, exactly how it should be traded, exactly what time frame it's on, the asset that should be traded, the rules for how to get in and out, and then how to actually debug what we see once we get it into PineScript, and kind of treat it like we've never seen a line of code in our lives. And if we run through that thought experiment, we can kind of show you guys the ways in which you can basically just help the model or help ChatGPT reinforce the answer with your feedback. The way you get to the finish line is giving it all that context, giving it all the reasons that it did or didn't work, the ways you want the entry to actually behave, and then of course being familiar with how the environment actually works. But man, there's never been a better time to learn how to code than right now, and letting ChatGPT do most of the code for you, and just having to learn the process as you go through these interactions. But I think treating it like we're brand new to it, I think that could be a really fun episode.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if that I'm set in my own way for that, because I think that's brilliant. But I end up in situations where I even was trying to do this with Peter, and maybe Peter should be the one to try to do this.
Oh yeah.
I know where the problem is. So then, for me, ideally, I use Cursor in order to set up my thing, because it's not only writing the code, it can also, run the curl commands that's necessary in order to actually activate the trades and process its own, I have a system where it takes the TradingView, the open source TradingView library, and puts that up and adds the information inside and scrapes the website and does all that. Yeah. But then you show that to a layman and they go, I don't even know what you're even, I don't know what curl is.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's their feedback. So we would make it in a way in which we say, okay, here's the prerequisites. You at least need to know that PineScript is the language on TradingView. Here's where you actually edit the code. Every time you save, it's going to get deployed. Here's some of the ways in which you need to work with the debugger. Here's how you get the log outputs. And basically, every time you make a change, you have to copy what you see there, paste it back into the window. Or maybe we can we do the window version of this where it can see your window? Could it actually start to observe the response that you're seeing on TradingView in real time? That could be pretty cool too.
Yes, the ChatGPT, I just find it crashes all the time. The app that views it. But that was the other thing. I have another program, Open Interpreter, that does, but it's a terminal. You're sitting there with a terminal looking at your screen, and people are going to be like, I don't even know what I'm watching.
Yeah, we tried to do that live, and it was sort of iffy. Yeah. So we'll show the copy paste method.
That's right. Yeah. Cool. But that'll be fun. Actually, we'll do that. I'll add that to the list, and we'll do that maybe next week. We'll see what people think.
Sounds good.
All right. The last thing over here, last Redditor. Where to begin after plan? I am not computer savvy in any sense. I know computer languages. Sorry, I am not computer savvy in the sense I know computer languages. I want to automate trades. I am learning. I'm leading towards TradingView. However, I do not want to pay the monthly subscription just to input my parameter. So this is the TradingView section. They want to pay for TradingView. What software or trading platform is the most user-friendly for inputting custom parameters for automatic buy and sell? So I guess I'll just reiterate the point I was just saying here. If you use the open source version of TradingView and an AI coder, you can actually spin up a simple version of what you need if you don't need all the bells and whistles from all the bells and whistles, and if you're using daily data and above, because otherwise you'd have to collect the historical information. But you could actually spin up. Well, is it free because you're paying for AI? Does that count as not using TradingView? Does everyone have AI now? We could just assume everyone has ChatGPT Plus or these high level things. I think we could just assume they have it. Because otherwise, just buy TradingView, just be done with it, and get TradingView.
I mean, at some point, you may want to actually purchase these tools to get where you want to go. But is there a way to do it temporarily? Sure. But yeah, I mean, usually with most of these things, you're going to have to pay to play.
Yeah, this reminds me of back in the day when years ago when I didn't want to pay for stock images, so I would take the image from online and then painstakingly take hours removing the watermark. You ever see anyone do that? Remove the watermark from stock, and you're like, "Did I just spend 3 hours?"
I've done it through. Yeah, I've done it through Photoshop several times. I tried to remove the lines from that go across the whole screen from iStock photo back in the day.
What's the saying? Penny wise, pound foolish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like what's my time worth
here? Yeah, it's like, I mean, if you're gonna want to automate trading, you're gonna have to make a little bit of investment, both time and money.
Right. But as an alternative to TradingView, it's very, I find it difficult to suggest for a beginner or someone who's not very code savvy anything other than that, because there's a bunch of these other platforms that I find even, actually TrendSpider would be the second one that's good, but it's even pricier than TradingView. So it's hard to suggest like a free platform or a very low cost platform that's giving you the input parameters that you need in a reliable way without, that's the same level as TradingView.
Yeah,
I'd be hard pressed.
It's a big ask. I mean, software is expensive to build, so
and if you're going to run money on it,
and I mean, and TradingView is like probably the cheapest of the cheap. Like there are some other broker platforms where like you don't have to pay for it. I mean, you're paying for it via fees and commissions on your orders. But those platforms work differently. They run on your computer. They're not in the cloud, so it's just like you're getting it for cheaper, but you're not getting everything that you would get with TradersPost. So it's cheaper for a reason. It's free for a reason.
That's right. Okay. Perfect. Well, that's it for our questions for this week. Thank you very much for watching Office Hours. We want TradersPost to be the best automated platform in the known universe. It already is, but we want to make it better still. We have other universes to
I thought we agreed. It's the best ever.
I expect a time portal to open up after this call and someone comes through and says, hey, they're going to be in TradersPost riot gear from Earth 323, and they're going to try to come at me. So I'm going to be a little bit careful here.
I can't imagine what shit coins they're trading in the future. Into the future.
It's a Ivanka coin. I don't know if you know about that. It's a Ivanka coin.
It's the inverse in a parallel universe. They're looking at fiat currency like this is absolute scams. I can't believe you guys use this. They started with crypto. Yeah.
If you guys have any questions about using TradersPost or just automated trading in general, please send them in either on Twitter or on YouTube. We're always happy to answer them. We'll be back this Thursday, like we said, with a dividend capture bot for Blueprint, on Friday for after hours market commentary, and next Tuesday for another office hours. But until then, we wish you happy trading.
Cheers, everyone.